Now, as the country gears up for one of the most anticipated elections yet, over 18,000 South Africans have registered to vote abroad through the online voter registration portal. Now, this week, South Africans living abroad have the opportunity to register for the upcoming elections. The Independent Electoral Commission says the registration portal will be opened from tomorrow up until Sunday. Juniour Khumalo is there and joins us live. Juniour, a very good afternoon to you. You've just listened to officials of the IEC really just encouraging those South Africans living abroad to take advantage of this time to register to vote. What came out of this address?
Indeed, the IEC is trying to convince as many South Africans as possible to actually register to vote in this year's elections. But speaking about South Africans living abroad, the IEC said about 18,000 had already registered on the online portal. But from tomorrow, the 26th, until the 28th, South Africans can go to South African embassies and consulates abroad and vote in those embassies and consulates. But one important aspect was that the South African embassy in Israel and the South African embassy in Ukraine as well as Sudan will not be available for South Africans living in those countries to go there and vote. The IEC said it received communication from the Department of International Relations indicating to them that it is not secure for South Africans to vote in those embassies. So that is one of the challenges that is facing the IEC. But the IEC is in communication with DERCO to try and ensure that DERCO does inform South Africans living in those countries that there is another option to actually register, which is to register online. We know that the IEC had a challenge with registering South Africans online, those that live abroad, because apparently the legislation did not allow for them to do this. But since December, that allowance has been allowed, and South Africans living abroad can now register to vote to do. Sorry.
Now, Juniour, I know that another question was also posed about the candidacy of former President Jacob Zuma. And there were also, the response just really spoke about the confines of the law and what the Constitution articulates. What exactly was said there?
Indeed, the IEC Commissioner, Janet Love, is the one that answered that question and said that according to the Constitution, any individual that was incarcerated for more than 12 months with a sentence that does not have a fine is not allowed, is not permissible by the Constitution of the country to participate in the elections. She did not mention former President Jacob Zuma by name, but she did imply that it's the IEC follows that Constitution. So if the former president wants to take part and participate as a candidate from the Umkhonto weSizwe party, he will not be able to take part in these elections. We know yesterday as well that the ANC in KZN had indicated that all its members that are campaigning for other parties are now going to be provisionally suspended. So they will no longer be members of the party. But similarly, like the ANC as well in KZN did not mention the former president by name. So it seems like he will not be able to stand as much as he is endorsing this party and campaigning for this party.
I know that you also asked another imperative question, Juniour, just looking at the process of this online registration, comparing it to what was seen last year in November. And what was part of the answer was really just encouraging those who registered previously to check. What was important for you to iron out as you tried to get a sense of how much improvement has been made since last year?
I know there was a challenge. Last year when the first voter registration happened, South Africans living abroad could not participate in that vote because the embassies and the missions and the consulates abroad were not able to register any South Africans. We were never given a clear reason why this was the case. But they were also not able to vote online because the law at the time did not allow for South Africans living abroad to participate in the online registration. So according to the IEC, there were were able to rectify that law after the court case that happened. There was a court case where individuals who wanted to take part in these upcoming elections as independent candidates were taking the IEC as well as Home Affairs to the Constitutional Court. So since that court case had been finished, then they were able to go to the courts and get the legislation changed so that it also allows and permits South Africans living abroad to also participate in the online registration. This is important because we know that there are only 125 missions and embassies that will be available for South Africans. So for those South Africans who are living in countries where the South African embassies are not available, then they can also register online, and then the IEC said it will try and make a provision when it comes to how they are going to vote, especially in Israel, in Ukraine, and in Sudan. The IEC said it was still in talks with the South African International Relations Department to ensure that even those South Africans also get a chance to vote. Paul.
Juniour Khumalo, let's leave it there for now, giving us a sense of what came out of the IEC briefing this afternoon.